Good evening, gents. Tio here, Simplistic Fishing, back at you tonight to finish up Lake Texoma. We've done zones 1 through 8, and now we finally get to do zone 9, which is the last one for the Google Earth waypoints. Then we're going to switch gears. We're going to talk about the offshore hotspots. There probably won't be as many different zones for the offshore hotspots. We can probably wrap that one up faster. We're probably talking about another week or so to finish up Texoma. So let's go ahead and get this thing finished up. If you missed the other lake breakdowns, go out to our YouTube channel, check out the lake breakdowns list. You'll see all of the Texoma zones that we've done 1 through 8, as well as this one, and you'll see all the other lakes we've done too. And don't forget, you can get your SD card at simplisticfish.square.site. So let's not wait any longer. Let's jump into this and finish this thing up. Here we go, zone 9. So here's a quick peek at what zone 9 looks like. Before we do that, let's just look at these other zones so I can show you what we had out there. If you missed the other videos, here's what you missed. Tons and tons of waypoints. The yellow is zone 1, the blue here is zone 2, this green is zone 3, then we went to zone 4, and the white, zone 5 is right here, zone 6, zone 7 is down in the purple, zone 8 is this red, and now we are going to finish off zone 9 right here to complete the Lake Texoma series. So as I came up in here, obviously it's getting really shallow and everything like that. So I went ahead and just started right around in here. I didn't see too much going on up in here other than just a bunch of mud. There is a creek channel that goes up in here, but again, I don't know how shallow this gets, but there could be some significance of fishing right up in here on these bends if you were up here in this area fishing. But let's spin back around this side. There was a little creek channel here, I guess, not really a creek channel, more like a cove. Look, like it might have a little ditch, but didn't see much going on there. But if we spin around the side, there's a little bit of a hard spot right there. I wasn't sure whether I should mark that or not because I couldn't really tell, but I did like this one. So I went ahead and marked this one so you guys can see that here. And this, I believe, looks like rock. It looks like definitely a hard spot. And then there's a little bit of a ledge off the sides of these. So I could see this being a decent spot if you're fishing up in this area, just because it's different than everything else around it. Definitely looks like a hard spot that you would want to fish around. And then moving on down this bank, I didn't see much, not much going on at all. And you know what? Before I go any further, I want to let you guys know I am using a different date. So I did move the date back to July of 2014. So if you're trying to follow along with me, or if you want to pull this up on Google Earth yourself, the best date that I could find was July of 2014. All right, so jumping back in here, this looks like an old pond possibly, but I didn't see too much of a dam back in here. When I pulled the water up, again, didn't see too much. I don't even think you could get back in there. Let's pull it back up real quick and I'll show it to you guys. But I don't believe it was, yeah, it's somewhat accessible, but it looks super, super shallow. So maybe fish right around in here, but I wouldn't spend too much time doing that, fishing in that area. There is a little bit of a ditch there though that you can see, and a little bit of a deep spot right here as well. So maybe check that out. Again, one of those spots I didn't mark, but might be worth going in and just looking around. Now moving on down this bank line, did see some laydowns here. So there's a laydown that I marked for you guys. Also, if you move on down the bank line, there's another laydown right here. And that one looks pretty big, and there's also a smaller one up here, but I don't think that's going to be in very much water, but this one should definitely be underwater, probably holding some crappie, possibly some bass in the area as well. And then moving further down, didn't see too much going on in that bank line until we got further into here. Back up a little bit and show you. Again, I'll show you where I'm at now. So I've gone pretty far from up there, not seeing too much to fish up there until we get back down around it here. So once I come across this point though, there are some really good looking things up in here. First off, there's a pretty good ledge right here, and there's also some tires up here. I didn't mark the tires, I did mark the little ledge here, but definitely fishing around here. This looks like it could be a really good area for the fish to hang around for sure. And then moving further back, I did say to check this. It's kind of an underwater secondary point. Looks like it could be a hard spot. It was really kind of hard to tell, but it definitely looks like it has a little bit of a ledge or some type of a drop going on right in that area. So maybe go check that out. And then you've got some rock that's back in here, just some, of course there's a boat back in there, but I don't know how we got back in there with it being so shallow. There's some rock piles right in here. There's stumps everywhere too, so make sure you're careful. You can see all of those. Those are probably going to be underwater if you go back there. And then moving up here, there's an old pond dam right here. So that might be worth fishing, and fishing this little bitty ditch right here. This little culvert right here, it doesn't look like it really gets that submerged. You can definitely see if I pull up the image to say 20, let's go 19, so everything's not too flooded. Guess it does. Maybe I lied to you guys. So that culvert is there. So I'll go ahead and mark that for you guys so you have that. Again, you'd want to be super careful too, because if you hit that with your prop, that's going to jack some stuff up. But let's go ahead and just mark that real quick while we're here on the video. That way you guys can see how this is all done. So we'll put that here and we'll call that culvert. All right, so let's keep on moving down. Again, staying on 2014, there's our pond dam. We move back in here. This looks kind of interesting. Now, there's all of these little craters. Now, I don't know if these are old beds or if this is just possibly something from when the lake just came down and there's, some kind of creature out there digging in the mud. But if they are beds, those could be like old bluegill beds or tilapia beds. I don't know what the heck they are. But anyways, check in this area and just see what the heck that is. And you guys might not even have tilapia in Texoma, so hopefully you don't, because they're bad. But not sure what these are. But anyways, check out this area. Just see if you can find anything back there. All right, so then moving on up, we're going to check out a few more things. We got some little group of stick-ups that were in here, so I went ahead and marked it. And the only reason why I marked it, I know there's other stick-ups in the area, but this one looked kind of isolated. So I went ahead and marked that one. And if we move further up, there's some brush that's hidden right in here that you can see. A little bit over here too. So make sure you're scanning around these areas. But this looks like a pretty decent brush pile right here. So check that one out. Again, good crappie spot, but it could also be a good spot to find largemouth. And then moving over here, there's another brush pile that's right up in here. That one looks pretty good size. That one may stick out of the water, not sure. Let's check it out and see if it does. So we're going to take it up to 2018. Just kind of see what that looks like. So it comes out of the water just a little bit. But again, pretty good brush pile, some stuff to flip around up in here too. So I can see that being a decent little area. Let's move that back to 2014 and let's keep moving up. Now the next thing we find up in here is a really nice creek channel. I wouldn't really say nice because there's not too many ledges on it or big turns or anything like that, but you got a couple. So you got a little bit of a drop that's going on this side. Got a little bit of a bend going on there. So I just marked the creek channel for you. There's another bend right there, one here, big bend right here. Right here looks like it makes a pretty decent little drop. So you could check right around in here and just see if they're relating to this creek channel. If they are, the nice thing is you can pull up there with these points and you can literally just follow it on your graph and just fish the creek channel. And I do that a lot. We've had a lot of success doing that. So instead of, you're kind of thinking offshore, but you're not really, you're kind of offshore, but really what you're doing is you're just following the creek channel. You're just following the points on the graph of the creek channel and just hitting the sides, crossing it every which direction you can. And we've had a lot of success doing that. So always take advantage of those creek channels for sure. All right, so then moving on down through here, a couple other things I found. There's some laydowns going on in here. There's also some rock around this bridge that looks really healthy. And then another laydown right in here. So that one looks really good. Then we're going to move up. It kind of gets bare for a little bit, and then we're going to get into some really good stuff. So again, here you don't see too much going on until we get up into this area. And then we start seeing some stuff that we can fish around. So first thing is we got a little bit of transition going on here. I haven't got to talk about the rock thing yet. 9 different videos. The first one I brought up the rock. So you guys are going to see where I marked rock on these videos. Yes, there's rock everywhere, but fish around the areas where it says rock, because it could be a rock transition, it could be a rock ledge, something like that. So I labeled it rock, but that doesn't necessarily just mean that I just went out and labeled every rock on Lake Texoma, because that would be crazy. The areas that we marked are transition areas or hot spots where there's different types of rock and things like that. So anyways, off my soapbox on that one, so I'm gonna keep moving on. So here you've got your transition area, you've got some little lighter rock up on the bank line. And then if you move further off the bank, just a little bit further, you can see there's a little bit of a ledge going on this area right here. So check that out. That looks like it could be good. And it's just far enough off the bank where, you could set up on it and kind of fish it offshore style. Then moving over here, you've got a nice little rocky point protecting these docks. So look right around the point, and then also look on the drops on the insides where I've got that marked at. Then as we move up here, you've got really just, I went ahead and marked this just because it's just a little bit different. It's a scattered rock. And then here you've got kind of a more dense pile. So maybe just fish this whole area right in here. To me, this looks like a good area to go throw a wobblehead around or something like that. Or maybe even a crankbait and just bounce it off these rocks. All kinds of good stuff you could throw right in this area. But check out this area just right in here. And then you'd also want to, hit here and then hit that spot that we talked about just a minute ago that's right here. So you've got some really good areas to fish just right in this one little cove. So then moving up here, another rock pile going on in here. So mud, junk, really nothing. And then all of a sudden you finally get a little bit of a hard spot. So check those out. You've got some pretty decent docks you could fish around here. There's some additional rock, like a hard spot right here. And we've talked about this on the different videos. If we see that hard spot happening here, so we see the dirt, and then all of a sudden we see that hard spot, don't be scared to back off of that and see if that hard spot will continue further out. And wherever it ends, you obviously want to fish around that, but you also want to fish on the sides of it where that transition actually happens. So right on that line where that transition is happening. So then moving down here, you've also got some bigger chunk rock that starts right in here. It might actually start right there, but I couldn't tell. But here I can definitely tell these are giant boulder looking rocks. So you could fish around right there. Got some good shade, good drop off as well. You've got some more of that going on up in here. Some of these bigger rocks right in here, right here. There's another one right here as well. These docks look like they could produce pretty good, and they could have some decent depth to them as well. Then I'm going to keep moving up the bank line, not seeing too much going on until we get right in here. And look at this ditch that we've got right in here. This one looks good. Definitely see that being a good hangout spot for the bass. So check it out. Go up there, take a look, just scan it, see if there's anything relating to that ditch, fish around the ditch, from each side, things like that, and just check it out and see if you can find anything there. And then when you're there, you can come up and get a shallow diving crankbait and just run this riprap. Just see if you can pick something off of that. That's usually a pretty good place to at least get a keeper, if you're trying to pick up a quick one in a tournament. And then moving over here, definitely want to check this. This looks like a brush pile, but I couldn't tell. So I just put check there. We do have a ramp back in here and a brush pile that's right off of the edge of this fishing pier. I can see this being a really good area just right here. And then if we move further back, there's a couple more brush piles back here. There's one here and one here. And there's another pretty good looking little ditch that's right in this area as well. So pretty good little cove. We're only about halfway back in this cove and we found many places to fish. And there's not a lot to fish on this side of the lake. So I could see you spending some time up here in this area. Another ramp right here. Pretty decent little creek channel coming out here with a few different ledges on them. And then as we move further up, not seeing a lot going on until we get a little bit further back here. And then here I just put check because you can tell there's something going on here. I don't know if this is an old pond or what it is, but you can see there's a little bit of a ridge right in there or a ledge. So this could be like the old pond dam and then it broke through right in there maybe. And then it does it again right here. You can see that there's something going on right in here as well. So anyway, some interesting spots to check out. Don't know how good those would be, but always worth going and looking at, especially if they're different. Right in here, you've got this big rock that's like right in the middle of nothing. So check that out. That could be another good spot. I think it's a rock. Could be a big piece of wood too, but it looks like a piece of rock. And then you've got a creek channel that's coming back in here. You can see it. So I went ahead and marked it when it starts to become difficult to find it in a boat. This is when I start the marking. So I marked it here, right here on this little bend right here, where it makes that big bend. That would be a good area to take a look at, just right in here. On the inside and the outside, and really just all around it. Just depends on where they're setting up. And then as we go further up in here, you've also got another creek channel that's back up in here. Again, muddy, looks pretty shallow up in here, but you do have a decent creek channel that comes up in here, and you've got some pretty decent depth right around in this area right here. So this could be like a deep pocket possibly. Something's going on here because it's definitely got some more depth to it compared to everything else around it. Then we're going to move on down this bank line, looking for some more good stuff. Finally find a little bit of a rock right here off of this ledge, but if we pull off a little bit, we've got a little point that's coming out here with a hard ledge on it as well. So take a look at that. Also take a look at these harder areas. You notice how it's just sand and you get a little bit of a hard area, so fish around those harder areas right here as well. Now I'm gonna back off a little bit. There's a ramp that's over here. These ramps crack me up because they don't have a lot of rock around them, but this ramp's just right here. There's a bunch of dirt around it, not a lot of good stuff around it, so this could be a good little ramp. Doesn't look like it's used at all, so definitely could be a good place for them to set up at. And you've got a pretty decent transition area right here. I didn't mark it. I just actually saw it just with my eye, but you can see it going on right here. So if you drew an imaginary line, you could probably find that transition somewhere right in there. Then I'm going to move down. Again, the bank line did change, right? We had that transition area, but we move down, we start to find some bigger rocks right off of this point right here. So check those out. Definitely different than everything else that's around it. And then also you've got this ditch that's right here. I really like this one. Looks pretty good right here in this pocket. So fish around the ditch, scan it, things like that, see what you can find. Then I'm going to move on back out here, show you guys where I'm at. I'm almost to about midway through that pocket right now. So we're going to zoom back in here. All right. And then we've got some rock off of this point. Got some additional rock that's down here. You can see the little pile going on here. We're going to move back in this pocket, see if we see anything back in here. I don't think I saw much back here. There's a lay down way back here, but I don't think you'd want to take your boat all the way back there just to fish it. But if you're a crappie fisherman, you might want to come back here because it is in a creek channel. I can see them collecting around that. Maybe go up here and fish this little bin as well. So from a bass standpoint, though, I didn't really mark anything back there, but there is pretty good rock pile right here. Again, some decent docks you could fish around, and then some giant rocks that are right out here. So scan out here too and see if there's any more those big rocks out in this area as well. Maybe you catch a smallmouth out in that area. All right, so I'm going to zoom back out and come back in here. Next thing up, we've got some more rock piles. Got one right here, one right here. This one looks like maybe just fish this whole area. Again, wobbleheads, crankbaits, shaky heads, all that good stuff you can fish around that scattered rock. You've also got some more scattered rock right in this area. This point, I couldn't tell. I couldn't tell if that was rock or not. So I didn't mark it as rock because I really couldn't tell, but you always want to scan all of these points and just see if there's anything off the edges of them. Like right here, this looks like it could have some potential as well. But again, not a lot. I don't see any rock on there, but the rock was back here. So check these out. Check out this rock pile back in here. You got a lot of brush that's collected back up here through this creek channel. So I've marked that as well. Pretty rocky area right in here too. And then you've got some more rock right in here, which this is just that bigger chunk rock. Then we talked about that little rock pile that's there. So now we're getting a little bit further out. I think we're almost to the edge of that. Yeah, we're almost to the end of this cove. So let's finish up this little cove right in here. So right here we've got another hard spot or rocky area, where it was sandy, and then also we have that transition to rock. We've also got a ramp that's back in here. You've got some additional rock right in here, and really, this is the only rock that's anywhere within 100 yards of this area. So check this out. Even though there's not very much of it, there's just enough of it where they may collect around it because there's just not a lot of stuff in the area. You've also got some tires in here you could check out. And then now we are back out to the main lake. So really good cove, I think, that you could go fish in Texoma if you were fishing up in this area. I've also got a couple more spots I want to show you guys, these two little coves, and this is going to wrap us up. The next thing that I found right in here was just more rock. So you can see it's definitely changing. You got a little transition area going on right in there. This looks like it could be rock or a hard spot, so check those spots out. And then back in here, you've got some brush piles. You got two of them. You got one right here and one here. And you've also got some rock that's right off of this little point. Notice how it's just dirt. Again, dirt, sand, but this is a hard spot right here. So fish just this little bubble right there, just that little hard spot. And then if we move back in here, decent little creek channel. A lot of these creek channels just don't have a lot of definition to them. They don't have a lot of break, but this one actually has a pretty good curve and some break right in this area right here. So right along, don't get up against the bank, pull off the bank just a little bit and fish that creek channel right where those breaks are, and especially where the bends are. So right in here and right up in here. That one looks pretty decent. And if you pulled the water up, I don't think it was as obvious. as to where that creek channel goes, or even that it's really even there. But there's a pretty significant creek channel going on right around that area right there. And remember, we talked about where that bend was right up in here. So good stuff back in these couple pockets that we're seeing in here. Also have some additional rock that's right in here. So check that out. And then moving out of this pocket, you also want to check this. I think this is brush, if I remember right. No, it's not brush. Kind of looks like brush, but could also be like a drop off or a ledge or something. It was hard to tell what it was. So just scan it, see what it is. It's something different than everything else around the area. So more than likely, it's probably going to have some fish relating to it. We've also got some brush that's out here off the edge. This is more main lake, and then some rock off of this point too. So you'll see here, got a little bit of transition going on right in that area, and then you get here and you start seeing the little breaks, the harder spots starting to show up. And then right here, you got a really good hard spot right off the edge of that point. Then I'm going to move back. You'll see LD, that stands for laydowns. So we got another laydown that's back in here. Zoom in so you can see it. Some of these are kind of hard to pick up unless I get really, really close to them. And then here I also said, check that. That looks like another one of those spots where you've either got a drop off there, or a little mini ledge, or a ditch, or some kind of debris. But I think it's just like a little ditch or some type of a drop, some kind of depression that's in there. So check that out. And then way back in there, there's a laydown back in there if you really want to get crazy and go back and fish way back in there. Maybe that's a springtime thing. You might get up in there and see what you can find. You've also got a couple ramps back in here, actually 3 different ones. You've got one here, here, and here. And you've got a creek channel that's back here too with an old pond. So that you got your pond, your little ditch by your pond's right here, coming through here. And then this creek channel looks pretty decent. It's got some pretty good break to it. So check it out. That one's kind of hidden back in there. I bet a lot of people don't go back in there and fish that. So it'd be interesting to go back there and check it out and see if there's anything back there. Then as we move further out, just a couple more spots, just some hard spots right here where you've got rock, and some rock right in that area as well. That wraps us up for Zone 9 for Lake Texoma. For all of you guys that have stayed in here and tuned in for all these videos, thank you so much, man. I really appreciate you guys following along with me and listening in and taking advantage of all these waypoints. Hopefully it has been very helpful to you. I know these things are super helpful to me. Don't forget, you can go out and get a SD card if you want, simplisticfish.square.site. And please make sure to hit that subscribe button. Until next time, guys, hope you catch your PB. Take care.